If you're anything like me, you grew up listening to Christian music. My household had a blend of traditional and Caribbean gospel. In my early teens, my family joined a non-denominational church that introduced me to CCM. I slowly started my musical journey when my parents bought me my first Walkman. I was right there at the top of my lungs responding to Kirk Franklin, "Oh yeah, we have a church, we ain't going nowhere." And as I explored music outside of what my parents introduced me to, I'd always wonder why Christian music couldn't sonically sound like the mainstream rappers and singers I heard on the radio. I didn't want the lyrics, of course, more the production and the creativity. Something that was different from the traditional sound. Fast forward to today, and I can tell you my favorite pastime is digging for as well as sharing new and old Christian music. And that is why this podcast was created. We curate playlists for you to discover great Christian music. We wanted to keep you, the listener, in mind, so I'm sure you pressed play because you're looking for music that 1, matches the sound and style that you enjoy, 2, fits any and every mood you're in at that moment, and most importantly, 3, glorifies God and challenges you in your walk. There might be more reasons I missed, but just know, when you come here, it's a chance for you to hear the heart behind these songs explained by the artists themselves. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Anthony B. Mitchell, and this is the Refill Podcast. So this first segment is a selection of 5 songs that I feel you should listen to. Also, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the artists and band members about their song and what led them to write, produce, and share it to the world. Before I end my conversations, I give them a chance to share what they hope you, the listener, will walk away with. Let's get things started with a PK from New Jersey.
I'm originally from a little town called Penns Grove, New Jersey, which is a mile square town. It's tiny.
That is Freddie Washington Jr. We'll get into his latest single, Closer, but here's more on his upbringing.
I grew up in church. I'm a pastor's kid, and I'm also the son of a really prominent gospel musician who I watched all my life play, and that's kind of where my love of music developed. It's also where I got my example for what music should look like and what worship should look like and what serving in this capacity in the church and in the kingdom should look like. My father would play for the service and then get up and preach. You know, he was one of those guys.
We hear verses and songs about drawing nearer or, in this case, getting closer to God. Safe to say that the writers are noticing a distance between them and God, and the idea of being further away from him is something they want no part of. So I had to ask Freddie, what led him to write this song?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I also would say that I feel like we can always, and this is probably extremely obvious, but we can always be closer, right? We always have that sense that no matter how long you've been in the faith, whether you're a believer of a year or a month or 30 years, there's always more. There's always deeper, and there's always this sense in which we never really figure it all out, but we can always be closer. And I think that it was both me feeling like I needed to be closer, feeling like I was in a season where I just needed that passion to be reignited in my heart and in people around me that I was in community with and that I'd spoken to and that I had shared life with. And I realized, you know what, man, sometimes we forget that the nature of a fire is to go out. It's so easy for that desire and that passion to wane a bit. And I think that we continually need to pray that prayer of, Lord, help me to be closer. Because the thing is, the truth is, in our drawing close to him, he's promised to draw close to us. And so desiring more is never denied. You know, we never are shown the door when we're like, Lord, I just want to be nearer to you. And there was that season for me and people around me. And then I think I just realized, man, this is just always true. this is just gonna be true for me. Until I take my last breath, I'm gonna want to be closer, want to grow in both my knowledge of God and my relationship with God. And I think that should be our passion daily. I think that for me, that song came out of a more clear awareness of that desire in my heart at that time.
I had another question I had to ask, and his answer was not what I expected. This song, when I was listening to it, I was like, it makes me think of the Commodores' Night Shift or Lionel Richie's All Night Long. And again, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but was that kind of like, oh, okay, you heard that sound and you're like, oh, I kind of want to make a track that resembles something similar to that? Or it was just like, you know what, I like this sound, I'm going to go for it.
But what was funny is after I got into the process and after it kind of had taken shape, people were all like, oh man, that sounds like All Night Long, like a Lionel Richie. I was like, oh yeah, it does. So yeah, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily an inspiration, but after the fact, I couldn't help. I mean, there's no denying. I was like, yeah, that's 100%. And everyone who hears it, they're like, man, that reminds me of something. And I just always go, oh, Lionel Richie? And they're like, yeah.
I know. It was an interesting question, and I had to ask it. So I want to say thanks to Freddie Washington Jr. for taking the time to talk with me. I'll play closer in a bit, but this is what he wants you to walk away with after you listen to the song.
So if you're listening to this, I really want you to remember that everything in your life, everything that you're searching for, if you're searching for hope, peace, if you're just searching for answers to the meaning of your life, it's all found in God. And you can try to find it in money and you won't. You can try to find it in notoriety, you won't. It will be found in God. And the closer you get to Him, the more you'll understand about why you're here. So I would encourage each of you and encourage myself to continue to draw close to Him, because He did promise that if we draw close to Him, He will draw close to us.
I'm letting go of all my fears. So your voice is all I can hear. And I'm leaving all I've ever known. Follow you back where I belong. Right in your arms. And all I want is to know your love. So lead me into the depths of your heart. All I want is to be right where you are. I want to be where I want to be where I want to be where you are. I want to be closer to you. 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 I want to be closer.
This next group has released 4 singles, including this track that was recently released on January 11th. The track is called P63. You'll hear it in a bit, but I caught up with the lead singer of OM53 to talk about the song and tell me a little bit more about the group.
So OM53 came out of Oasis Church in Clark, New Jersey, and New Brunswick, New Jersey.
That's Chris Haraya, lead singer of OM53.
We have 2 locations, and honestly, it was just 4 people who decided that, we wanted to do more than just do worship and Sunday morning. And I came into Oasis Church with a lot of songs in my heart, a lot of projects, and I had just never found the right people, the chemistry with other individuals. And when I got here, I met Scott, I met Jesse, I met Mariah, who later on would become my fiance, and we just clicked.
Now, if you listen to their recent releases, you'll notice that it's a different sound from what many of you might be accustomed to. This sound is called retrowave. Chris admits that he didn't know about this sound until one of the band members, Scott, introduced it to him.
And then we revisited and saw how there is nobody in the Christian industry doing retrowave. Some 80s stuff, but fully retrowave, none. And we just started writing songs and adapting some of the ones that we had already written to that genre. And yeah, OM53 stands for Oasis Music, and 53 is for Isaiah 53. We believe Jesus took the cross when we didn't deserve it, and he is the reason why we do what we do.
They're committed to this sound, not just because it sounds different, but because they have a heart for the culture. Chris explains
more. The more
more.
we got into it, the more we understood that there is a huge culture of people who listen to retrowave, synthwave, vaporwave, all these kind of wave music. Retrowave is very depressing. There's a lot of lust. There's a lot of why are we even here type of vibes. At least that's what we've seen. And we definitely want to shed light and bring positivity and obviously bring Jesus and salvation into this culture.
P63 is essentially Psalm 63. Chris says the group wanted God's word to be the center of the song. I asked him what he wanted you, the listener, to walk away with after hearing the song. This was his response.
What we want people to walk away after with this song is first to know that that retrowave is a thing. You know, I think everything that we do from now on is to kind of get people to know that it's a thing, because one of the hardest things is to actually be found, because nobody's looking for retrowave music, but the most important thing is for people to understand that it doesn't matter like what we do in life. It doesn't matter like where you're at, and as cliche as this sounds, like the most important thing is to seek Jesus, and the most important thing is to cling on to him. We could be going through like the toughest times in our life, but if we don't recognize that we're going through these times with Jesus, it just gets really difficult. It gets really depressed. Our only hope. He is our only true hope. And I'm into the psalm. It says, "My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed and meditate on you in the watches of the night, for you have been my help." This is a recurrent theme in our songs, that God is always present and God is always going to defend us, and all we could do is just give him everything we have. So that's what I have for you guys.
Thanks to Chris Araya for sitting down with me. More music to come, but of course, here is P63 by OM53 here on The Refill.
As long as I live, I will pray to you, I will sing to you, I will live for you. Your love means more than life to me. I will praise you. I thirst for you in the desert. I seek for you in the mountaintops. My heart finds joy in your presence. My heart finds joy in your presence. As long as I live,
This next artist from Phoenix, Arizona is still fairly new to the scene. Already, she's released 3 singles to date. Now, for this episode, I thought I'd decide to talk to her about her first single, Seat at Your Table, simply because it was a song that caught my attention. It was a sound that, again, was different, and at least to me, or personally, I haven't heard something like this before in Christian music.
Yeah, well, with this song, we're definitely trying to go the route of like a soul gospel type of feel.
That's the voice of Emily
And
Sanchez.
it's not, I mean, I wouldn't really say it's exactly gospel, but we wanted it to be different from the contemporary Christian sound. So I definitely feel like you can get that soulful kind of gospel feel to it.
This soulful sound doesn't come just from anywhere. Amelia always enjoyed soul music growing up, but always figured she'd eventually end up going with a more contemporary sound. As she continued to develop, she realized she wanted to do something different.
Over the past couple years, I kind of found my sound as an artist. And so I've always loved soul music, and whenever I did live shows, that was kind of the sound that I would always go with and the songs that I would perform. So I mean, growing up in church, I thought that I wanted to get into like Christian contemporary music, but just over the years and developing myself as an artist, I just wanted to be different, and I wanted to have a different sound. So I thought that bringing soul to the Christian music would be definitely different, and so that's just the sound that I'm going for now, and I absolutely love it.
When I heard the lyrics, I could not help but feel like it was a big invitation card. I asked her if she drew from personal experiences to write this song.
It's definitely a season that I was going through. I didn't feel like I was welcome in, maybe certain areas in my life, and I just didn't feel worthy. And so I sat down with Mitch Dane, who I wrote this song with, and we were like, hey, let's make this a song where people can feel relatable, and they can feel like, hey, that's about me. Like, I don't feel like I'm worthy enough. I don't feel good enough. And so we definitely made it super straightforward for sure. So
thanks to Amelia for taking the time to do this interview. Here is what she hopes you walk away with after listening to this song.
I know that when I lost my grandpa to cancer 2 years ago, I definitely went through a season of just anxiety and depression. It was definitely a dark time for me, and instead of running to God, I kind of ran away from him. So I was getting mixed up with different stuff that wasn't good for me in different places, and I want people to feel like no matter what they're going through, no matter where they're at, there's still time to turn to God, and that it doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't matter, what your past looks like, that you're still worthy, and he still loves you and wants the best for you and wants a relationship with you.
Coming up, I sit with music tastemaker Josh Grant from Sound Seekers. Also check the show notes for links to our playlists where you'll hear all the songs from this episode. Thanks to Amelia for the interview. Here's Seat at Your Table.
Lost in the desert, hungry for more. I feel disconnected, as if I'm alone. Trusting my own voice over yours. Oh, you take me in as one of your own. There's a seat at your table, oh Lord, and I wasn't faithful, but you brought me home with nothing to offer. You seated me close at your table. There's a seat at your
Have you ever dealt with someone that thought you led a perfect life? One without problems, challenges, maybe because the way you carry yourself or how you seem to respond to negativity in your life. One thing's for certain, everyone has been through challenges, but it's how we respond to that negativity that shapes our lives.
I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, man, you become who you needed most when you were young.
That's the voice of rapper YB.
And I think that's kind of like that persona of YB, like growing up without a father. It's like, I think that's why I'm so passionate for youth, because I can understand that void and that gap that they have to kind of juggle in this fast-paced world.
I'm out on the field and I'm up for the fight, but let it be known it's my God who's the warrior. Ready to fight, give all my life. I went broke to release my album, Faith at a Price. When I heard those lyrics, I was like, whoa, okay, you almost went broke to produce an album. This had to have some sort of strain on your family, and YB actually went into detail about
Man, what's so weird is like a lot of times when I'm making an album for people, before I give it to people, it's evidence to me. Like that faith and that hope, it comes to life for me. So I think when we were going through that process, especially with the finances, I was getting really discouraged and frustrated through that process of creating. But if I could be completely transparent, my wife was the Abraham. My wife was the one of faith. It's like, babe, if you quit now, what was all of this for? So, and of course, anybody that's married and it comes to money and your wife is like, no, you got to keep pushing. If that ain't a sign from God, I don't know what's going to speak to you.
You know what I realized? This whole interview, I did not even mention the name of the song. The track is called Dear Soldiers. And of course, I had YB give some last words to you, the listener, as to what he wants you to walk away with after hearing
The
this song.
biggest thing I want them to walk away with is enjoy your race. Enjoy your process. Enjoy your day. Because we live in this era where everything is infatuated with social media and other people's highlights. They see YB, but you don't see the mountain that God has put before me. And he's going to move it. But I'm saying all of that to say this. Embrace the highlight reel God has put in your life. That's what I want them to walk away with.
Whoa. Take a look at my eyes. God knows I tried. They told me no, but I kept trying. Almost ran off the road. I almost died. I love through pain, but many nights I cry. What you know about? Take a look at my face. Every time that I fall and I hide all the pain, I get bent out of shape. I say it is okay. I just wanna live life. And I go back home just to pay it a visit. Feel all the memories, feel all the energy. This nothing new, I done been here before. I was young and a waste. I stare fear in the face, I came here with nothing, I'm dying with everything. Truly is riches, could never be traded. I'm not for the moment, I'm out and I'm on it. My family need me, they think that they need me. I'm out on the field, I'm up for the fight. But let it be known, it's my God who's the warrior, ready to fight. Give all my life, I went broke to release my album. Faith at a price. When I drive through the night, it's 4 a.m. and I'm doubting myself. I'm alone with my fears and I can't see the light. I'm just like you. All that pain, all that shame, all those fears, all those chains, gotta get it off me. I know what it's like to come in last place. Gotta get it off me.
I love this last song. It's created by a group out of Miami, and I spoke with the producer and drummer of the group who gave me an introduction to Epic.
We're a group of 8 people. 8 people, and we've been together for 3 years now, and we're based out of Miami. And we're just a bunch of people with like different ideas, because we have a bunch of like likes and genres and stuff. Like we have people that like jazz, we have people that like rock and roll, and then it's kind of like a fusion of all of that stuff that's kind of like brought us together and to make like this, this new type of music, or unique. Try to look for something different,
That was Charles the drummer, by the way. And with 8 creatives in one group, I had to ask the producer, Daniel, with various styles, how do you agree upon a final product?
We just get a lot of ideas together, and then I'll take, I don't know, like one of the other guys, I guess Nico, or who's vocalist and a guitarist, or Ivan, who's one of our electric guitarists. They'll come up and give me like a cool guitar riff or something. And then from there, I'll just see how I can make it into something else. So I'll purposely get something that sounds folky, and I'll make it not folky. Like, all right, yeah, musically, that's really the way it goes. Like, my job is to make everything sound like what it was initially not.
Thank you to Charles and Daniel for taking the time to chat with me. Here's what they wanted you to leave with after hearing the song.
So one of the messages that even one of the main singer, which is Adrian Gonzalez, he's the lead vocalist there. He says that he wanted to basically put the experience of the nativity of when Christ was born, and try to experience it from our perspective. If he was born in our time, although we also understand, like, we're trying to see like what the people were feeling at that time, but like kind of like just the joy of coming with knowing that the birth of Christ was coming and all that stuff. I think that's kind of like the main message, that to rejoice, to be happy, especially with the feel of the song and everything. It's just kind of like joyful,
Fun fact, the intro you hear isn't a sample from another song. Actually, it's produced by Daniel himself. Talk about being creative. Anyways, I talk with an artist about his 1986 album and what inspired him to create it. That's coming up, but as promised, here is Forever by Epic the Band. It's the refill.
The Son of Man promised forever, heaven touching earth. An endless endeavor. When life meets its maker, he makes us greater. As we sing Emmanuel, Elohim, Lamb of God that set us free. That the coming of the precious one would ever save us. Father gave his only son to the world, forever change us. Believe that the coming of the precious one would ever save us. Father gave his only son to the world, forever change us. Faithful forever. Faithful forever. Faithful forever.
Our next artist is releasing his album February 1st. This will be his second album in 3 years since his debut album, Swervin'. That's SWRVN. That album touched on topics that related to what was happening in his life at that time. So from dealing with a relationship to swerving his old ways. With this release of Broken Melodies, CJ King is excited to share what's been going on the last 3 years. But before we talk about the album, let's get to know him first.
But I'm a family man with one daughter, and married, and so living the whole adult life, while at the same time, trying to continue the ministry through the music and through the serving that I do. So really laid back, and you hear it in the music. So I'm looking forward to talking more about that also.
Like many artists, CJ King not only raps but works full time. The question I'm about to ask is usually saved for my guy Josh McCabe from Beyond the Music, but with family, work, and music, how do you juggle it all?
For one, it's one of those things where it's a balance. It's a struggle every day, because I have to figure out how to balance that every day. It'd be different if I was a very organized person, but the reality of the situation is I'm not. And so every day I'm working and reminding myself to make that time for family, because it's happened to go. And before I know it, the day has passed. I've worked all day. I've been in the studio or recording, mixing. And so it's something that's an everyday commitment to find that balance. So it's not something I have completely figured out yet. It's something I'm literally figuring out every single day, because being an artist, your schedule isn't structured. It kind of changes with shows, interviews, recording sessions. So you have to really refigure that method out every single day.
Do you ever have those moments where you feel like, okay, you want to be in a certain position in your job, or maybe you want to own a home? You think on these things and you get to a point where you're just about ready to complain. For some of us, we actually go to that extent. Why am I not where I want to be, God? Or why is it taking so long? Then God gives you a small reminder that you are blessed, or as CJ likes to put it, NLIB. Not lucky, I'm blessed. When we come back, I will talk to CJ a bit more, but here's NLIB on the Refill Podcast.
Put my whole team on a new wave, going crazy, through the good and the bad, he been with me every day, never stray, gotta feel me when I say, don't believe in love cause it's blessing, been through way too much to be stressing, no I don't believe in love cause it's a blessing, been through way too much to be stressing, don't believe in love Shorty smiling, baby in the backseat. Got a brother facing 12, could've been me. Ay, on the east side, don't wanna see a man free. Had to talk with God, he said, not lucky, boy, you destined. You ain't in the church, but you preaching like you reverend. Call me 7, I seen stranger things. From East Atlanta, so I hustle in the sun. Hey, God got me, I ain't worried about things. I been set free, why would I worry about change? You got the sauce, I got the truth. You just drip, I'm solid, I never move. I'm sorry, I don't approve of this negative energy. You feeling more like a friend of me, show your identity. You are not one of my friends, you and I finna be. Messing up this vibe, yo. I'm feeling so destined for this time.
It was in reflection. So this year has been one of the toughest years for me financially. And so it happened in reflection. I was really just thinking back. It was in a very stressful time. And I was in a creative, block with my music. And so one day I was just really pushing through, trying to, find something to record. My wife was at work. At the time, I didn't go into work until when she got off. And so I'm sitting there just trying to figure out what song to make. And I started looking around. I saw my daughter crawling on the floor. I saw the house we were in. I saw my pet, and really started counting those small blessings. And it was kind of a random, mumble to myself. It's like, man, I'm not lucky, man. I'm blessed. I was scrolling through some beats. This beat came on, and literally the hook was there. It was like, don't believe in luck. This is a blessing. Yeah, and it took on a life of its own from there.
With a new wife and child, CJ was dealing with a lot of new thoughts and experiences. He would try and find things that were relatable to this season in his life in Christian music, but found himself listening to more mainstream music. So instead of continuing to search, he figured he would create something instead.
So I felt led to go ahead and really dig into it and go ahead and make an album for it instead of just really making a single. So I purposely and intentionally focused on this album not being one for radio, but being one for the people. So you'll hear, when you hear the songs on the album, that this is a lot more focused on stuff that you would deal with on a daily basis, versus something that just sounds cool or has a nice beat to it. And so there's a void of that in the industry, and I wanted to bring that, and I felt like I needed to bring that. So that's the whole purpose behind it, and that's what sparked it.
Lord Knows is the latest single from CJ's February 1st album. This song reflects where he's at in life, with juggling family, work, and music. With all the challenges he's faced leading up to this release, you could say this is him confidently boasting in what God has created him for. CJ explains why he wrote Lord Knows.
Lord Knows was maybe the 5th record I had got into on the album. I was maybe 5 records in. And I was feeling like I'm in a really confident place musically, and I feel that God has really just kind of opened up his bag and let me put my hand in it for a second. so that was kind of a confident flex as far as you can throw anything my way and I'm still gonna make it. I done been through hell and back and I'm still here. So it was really just a confident flex in what God made me, who he made me to be, and who he is. And so if you listen to the lyrics, it boasts confidence in who he is and the purpose that he gave me. So literally the first words you hear, you can set me on fire, I'm still too cold. Hold my breath, I'm still gonna blow. God told me I'm made for this. I remember praying for this. So, and if you listen to those words, it's a lot of things we prayed for, we had to go through that storm to get there. And so while you're going through it, remain confident. And that's what the purpose of this song was.
Broken Melodies is the name of the album. It is out today, so go and check it out. Thanks to CJ for taking the time to talk with me. And of course, here's what he hopes you walk away with after listening to the album.
I'm hoping they get kind of a map. And the reason I say that is when they're going through those hard times or those relationship struggles or those money struggles, they can choose to intentionally go listen to the album and say, all right, this is what it sounds like in this struggle, but this is what it sounds like after or on the way out, or this is the mindset I need to be in. then they can cut that track off and go back like, all right, I can do this. Because that's why I made it, because there wasn't a lot of music, in my opinion, that was doing that for me. And there were songs I would listen to, but they were secular songs. There weren't any really in CHH that was really hitting it for me. And so I wanted to kind of fill that void, or help fill that void, because other artists are doing it also, but I wanted to help play my role in that.
You can set me on fire, I'm still too cold. Hold my breath and I'm still gon' blow. God told me I'm made for this. I remember praying for this. Yeah, hey, I done been high, I done been low. How I made it through, only Lord knows. God told me I'm made for this. I remember praying for this. Okay, lately I done had to level up. Hey, this here was a blessing, never luck. Lately I've been trying to make a wave, level looking at me, plotting on my ways. I'm just trying to make the day. Yeah, nowadays they don't wanna see you great. They don't wanna see you pop off. When you do, then they relate to you in every aspect of your life. Like, remember, I was the one that taught you before you was nice. But I don't want that limelight, I just wanna shine like my father on the throne. Keep my flow cold like Klondike. Oh man, that wasn't even planned out. My baby near the mic and she already trying to stand out. That's greatness, never been with the fakeness. I record in my living room while I'm babysitting my little baby. Remember that when you played this? Since 92, I was destined for greatness. Apologize for the lateness, but me and God had arranged me on fire.
This is the Refill Podcast.
So for this segment, we have invited a tastemaker, and we'll continue to invite more to share music with us in regards to what they're listening to and what they feel like you should be checking out. I have Josh Grant from Sound Seekers on the line with me. Josh, how you doing today, bro?
I'm great, man. Living the dream down here in South Florida. A chilly day. It's 80 degrees today. It's really cold.
What? Chilly? Chilly, bro? Really? You're talking about being chilly in Florida right now. I'm up here in Toronto. And it's minus something, and you're complaining about it being chilly in Florida.
I had to put a sweatshirt on this morning when I left the house.
That's crazy. Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming online with me and sharing, I guess, some music that you have coming up. Before we do get into that, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about Sound Seekers and how you guys got started.
Mm-hmm. So it started as something that I really believe God put on my heart while I was a youth pastor. I was involved with youth ministry for about 11 years, and the last six, I was a part-time youth pastor. And it was during that time of just trying to find content for the youth that was relevant and that was engaging for them and stuff like that. And I just started an Instagram account where I was just posting music daily, and I was just really consistent with that. And that was actually, this January will be 6 years that I've been posting songs to Instagram. And it's still major humble beginnings. We're about to hit 9,000 followers here probably by the end of this year. And but it's just really been about relationships. Early on, I just really invested into every single person. And so even with the playlist that we have on Spotify, there's 80 tracks on there. I try to keep it right at 80. And I have the phone number, and I have spoken to personally multiple times with every single artist that is on that playlist.
Wow.
So we call it the Friends and Family playlist, because that's really what it is. It's not really just about oh, this song is dope, let me throw it on the playlist. It's that music is only getting included on the playlist if I've talked and begun to build a relationship with the artist. And Sound Seekers is a we. It is a we. I got my boy Kappas. He's graduated University of Miami as a film videographer. He's in another state, but he collaborates with a lot of content for Sound Seekers, and we're setting a lot of foundation going forward where he'll have an even greater involvement in the future. And then I got my DJ producer friend D-Rez, who is down here in Miami with me, and he does a lot of obviously production, and he also does a lot of video editing and stuff. So he helps out a boatload, and he helps run our Twitter account. He helps me with our YouTube channel. And so those are the two key guys that help me. And then there's some other players that have played some small roles, but I'm going to get them more involved here going into 2019. Big things coming 2019.
Nice. That's great to hear, man. I'm excited about that for you guys. And yeah, look forward to 2019. Well, look, we have you here for a reason. It's because we want you to share 2 songs. I know I asked you, I messaged you and said, I need you to get me 2 songs that you would love to share with our listeners. And let you just go ahead and introduce the first one.
Sounds good. So the first song that I picked was Lavish by my good friends, Ecclesia.
You have seen me. You're the only one that truly sees me uncovered. All things bare and nothing hiding. Every thought, every deed, every failure been in those to be. You behold them, and you love me instead. God, you love and you love and you love as if I've never sinned. Oh, you love and you love and you love every offense you forget. God, you love and you love and you love, though I could never earn it. No, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve the love you lavish over me.
All right, Josh. So why did you pick Lavish as one of the 2 songs that you wanted to share today?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me, what do I need to do to get on the playlist and stuff? And I was like, talk to me, like build a relationship. And so Andrew is by far the person that I am closest to the most and have in such a short period of time, from February to now, I've spent, out of all the artists on the playlist, the one that I've spent the most amount of time with, and just believe solely in them and been promoting them since the very beginning. And so, and then just Lavish was the first one to me of his singles. When Lavish came out, I was like, wow, this is just so different. And then it was so different that he had the idea of coming up with a remix album for the song Lavish. So yeah, so fun little note on that is that Heights, Jay Sua, Fameless, and D-Rez were all people that I hit up and asked to remix the song. And then D-Rez, who people will see on this Lavish remix project, is the guy who helps me with Sound Seekers as well. And he'll be releasing a lot of music in 2019 as well. He's been stockpiling music as well. So, I love all those little, the names will grow with more and more people like, oh, that's how they're all connected and stuff. So, yeah, just Lavish is just an amazing song.
It comes wave after wave after wave. Oh, you love and you love and you love as if I've never sinned. Oh, you love and you love and you love every offense you forget.
All right, so this next one obviously is a big deal because she is from Toronto, Charlene Nash.
Yeah.
So go ahead and introduce this next song.
So Charlene just dropped a song called Risk on November 30th. This is Charlene Nash from Toronto, Canada.
My lipstick start, my view just bright. My blessings start too hard to find.
All right, so it's been a while since she's released anything, but why did you choose this track?
So no, I'm really big because I'm not an artist and I'm not a producer.
Right.
I'm really I love influencing people's musical taste, and I want what means to me the most is I heard this song or this artist became my new favorite artist, and Sound Seekers was the one who put them on, for me. I get it. I love hearing that from people. And so I analyze more grabbing people's attention. And so right at the very just beginning of this song, the way that it sounds just pulled me in. And then I just love the fact I'm a big 90s guy, and it just had this very almost this SWV salt and pepper kind of vibe to it, but yet it still felt new and fresh. And that's a big thing that I've been telling a lot of these artists. I was like, man, go be a student of musical paths, in the 80s and the 90s. Look at Billboard magazine and create something new inspired on something old. And I feel like that she just did that so well with this track. So
Hey, Josh, thanks so much for doing this, man. This was great. I'm glad we actually got a chance to
What
do
an
this.
honor.
And we'll be sure to have you back in the future for sure.
You got it.
But I'll make sure I'll make it a little bit easier for you. Give you some more time.
Yeah, man. It was great. It was great, man. Excited for you, man. Overflow and big things, man. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Josh. You do the same. Coming up, we have more music, of course. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Refill Podcast.
This is the Refill Podcast.
This segment is called Digging in the Classics, or what we like to call DITC, where we visit classic Christian music from artists you may or may not have heard of. We start with the one and only Brian Duncan with Only Want to Do What's Right here on the Refill Podcast.
Well, you know, I've been a Christian since I was a teenager. Accepted Christ when I was 16, and the biggest thing about following Jesus in faith is, you know, that whole thing about obedience and doing the right things, and it's like most of the time the last thing I want to do is the right thing. You know, and it just seemed like a real struggle. And, so, I mean, I only want to do what's right is like, it was kind of an acknowledgement that like what Paul said, you know, the things that I want to do, I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do is what I do. And it was really born out of that frustration of going, I have the right heart, I want to do the right thing, but it doesn't work out too well. Thank God for grace.
Yes, thank God for grace. And thank you so much to Brian Duncan for taking the time to chat with me. Again, the album is Holy Rollin', and the name of the track is Only Want to Do What's Right. You will be able to hear this song in full on our curated playlist for this episode. Again, all the songs that you heard here, you're going to hear them in full on the playlist. And the link will be available in the description. So you definitely want to go and check that out. Well, that's it for this first episode of the Refill Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Overflow Refill. Playing us out is Phil J, who gets a big congrats on recently proposing to his girlfriend. Thanks again to everyone that I did interviews with. Thanks to the team. Big ups to my son, Daddy loves you. And to my wife, Bibbs. This last one's for you.
Sometimes I feel like I can take on the world with you by my side. I wonder what that would be like. Yeah, holding you in my arms, loving your heart and soul, looking forward to a future we can hold. I think you got that love that can make a man grow. And I ain't talking about that love on radio, that ain't love. Modesty, just let some man know. You demand respect and believe I'm sure loving it. I wonder what you would be like as my lover, future wife, a few kids. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let the pursuit be